Hey, good evening. How you guys doing? This is take two. So we'll see when Kyle comes on if it echoes or if it works out well because we want y'all to hear everything we're about to talk about tonight. But as we begin, I hope you've all had an amazing Sunday. A great weekend overall. I just got back from like 2 hours north of where I live in Tampa. I was at a training, I guess, for physical therapy for the weekend. So it's been a great one, but excited for tonight's training. And once Kyle hops on here, I want to make sure that the sound works well. Desiree, how you doing? Lazarina, how are you doing? As you guys are hopping on, just let me know that you're here. You give me a little hand emoji or something, just so I know y'all are here, so I can shout you guys out. But let's see if it'll let us let Kyle on. If it lets us, then we can have a great conversation tonight. If not, we'll have to play around with it. Kyle, I'm gonna add you on here. See if this works out well. Brooke, how you doing? Great to see you. Let's see if this works out nicely. Hold up, it's about to.
I got you. Is that
All right, Kyle, can you hear me?
echoing again?
Let's see. It's still echoing. Wait,
I mean, I'm good.
All right, for those of y'all that are watching right now, can y'all hear the echo? If y'all cannot hear the echo, then we're good. We're good. So if you wouldn't mind just letting us know in the comments, just for those of y'all that are live, just so we know, because we want to make sure that as we're talking with y'all tonight, we want to make sure that you guys can hear everything. Because if it's echoing, then that kind of ruins it for y'all, right? So
Sure.
So if you guys can hear it nice and crisp, and there's no echoing when either one of us are talking, just let us know, and then we'll get down to business. Because tonight's not going to be a long live stream, but no echo, perfect. Woo, we're good.
We're good.
We are good to go. We are good to go. So for those of y'all here live or on replay, just give us a little hand emoji. I like seeing who's live. So sometimes it doesn't show me. Sometimes I just see a number. So I just want to see who's live so that we can call your name out and just say hello, because we're just grateful for y'all being here. Just thank you for taking time out of your evening just to invest in yourself. I think that's the coolest thing about being in a group like this, Kyle, is the people that are hungry show up, right?
That's
the people
right.
that are hungry,
Oh man, because they're ready to eat, right?
You got it. They're always ready. They're ready to absorb more. And for the pre-PTs that are hungry and are saying, yo, I just want to learn anything and everything that I can, either because I'm struggling, so we're going to talk about the struggles tonight with the GRE and everything else, or I just want to avoid problems. And so if this is like the first time you're going through it and you're like, hey, I just want to avoid a lot of the issues that I'm seeing a lot of people go through, then hey, this is your place. But I just want to thank you for just like wanting to push yourself and learn things differently. Like, can y'all just appreciate that about yourselves? Like, if you're just at home, just give yourself a little round of applause, because like that impresses us.
Right.
Mainly because we're gonna give you our best all the time. Like whether it's 0 people live or 50 people live, it doesn't matter. Like we're gonna give you our best. But it's the ones that say, you know what? Like I see it. I see why doing things differently from how everybody else has been doing it, how we've been taught at school. What's up, Maria? What's up, Joey? How you doing? Yeah, Joey, adapt, evolve, learn. Let's freaking get it. That's exactly what it is. So just understanding that honestly, like the way we've been taught to get into PT school doesn't even make sense. It really doesn't. Like the way we've been taught to get into PT school is just like categorizing y'all into just one big lump, and you're not being taught the things that you need to be able to get everything you want. And what do you guys want? Y'all want that feeling of like the day you finally get your acceptance letter. Like, can y'all just imagine what that feels like? Can y'all imagine what it feels like to go for your first interview or an interview to your top school, and the feeling afterwards that you're like, yo, I just crushed it. I just crushed it. Like we had a phenomenal conversation. Like when you get a second letter of acceptance, a third letter of acceptance, like the feeling you get, like that feeling right there is worth every bit of everything you're going through right now, whether this is your 4th time taking the GRE, whether this is your 2nd time taking the GRE. Like you have to ask yourself, like, how much is that feeling worth to you? Does that make sense?
Right.
But before we get there, because this whole journey, everything we do, Eric, how you doing? Dylan, great to see you. Brianna, good to see you. Like everything we're doing is just to get you to that feeling. And that feeling only comes with being accepted into a program, with crushing your GRE, and everything else that comes with that. And so that's the feeling. And if we miss that or if we forget that, then we start making some pretty silly decisions, like leading up to it. So we want to help y'all out with that. But tonight, let's talk about the GRE and whether or not we should give up. Kyle, listen, hey, listen, let's just talk about it. Like taking the GRE. Well, from those that are live, who has taken the GRE before?
Okay. Yeah.
Like from those who are live, just say me. Who's taken the GRE before?
Mm-hmm.
Have you taken, and if you've taken it before, then also let us know, like if you're planning on taking it again in the near future, or if you're just kind of stuck right now. Whether you want to share that part or not is up to you. But I just want to know, like, who's taken it before, and then I also want to know who has not taken it before. So for those of y'all that are watching, you're like, I've never actually taken it. This is like my first go round, and I just want to learn whatever I got to learn. So, okay, so we have one person, Desiree. All right, so one person that has taken it before. So for those of y'all that have taken it before, there's a lot that comes with it, especially when we've taken it once and we did not get the score we wanted, because for most schools it's a 300. That comes with a lot of baggage, right? It comes with a lot of frustration. Desiree and I had a nice conversation this weekend, and so she's relentless, and I love it. But Desiree, you'd have to agree that it's frustrating. Like it's painful, it's disheartening, it's exhausting. Let's just talk about it like it really is. I think sometimes we try to talk about all the good things, like, hey, you can do that, like, but we don't actually address what it's like, what it feels like to go through the bad or the not so great or what you did not expect to feel. And the biggest question, the group of 5 words, Kyle, that I'm sure you hear a lot, that I certainly hear a lot, is, should I give up? Now, Desiree's a little different. She's like, hey, listen, I'm here ready to do what I got to do. But the real question, like, should I give up? Like, should I just like maybe the GRE ain't for me. So should I just give up and do something different? Should I just apply to schools that don't look at the GRE, because those do exist? Should I just apply to those schools and just give up on this part of it? Like, Kyle, let's talk about this in depth tonight, because like here's the thing, man. Like, I just want people to feel like the day they get accepted, man, like just, oh my God.
Yeah, that feeling.
Kyle, you remember that feeling? Hold on. Before we even go into the GRE, like, what did that day feel like when you got accepted into PT school, bro?
Man, you know what? Because I had went through the failures, having that acceptance come through was just like, wow, I just been given a chance right now to actually make something of myself. So it was just like I mean, it was beyond an acceptance. It was like that chance to actually prove to myself that I could be, a physical therapist, that I could make it out there and become a doctor. So it meant a lot to me, bro. A lot.
Man, the questions you even have to ask yourself in those moments is like, for the pre-PTs that are watching, it's like, what does that moment like mean to you? Because your story is a little different. What does that moment mean to your family?
Right.
What does that moment mean? Like, your family that's invested time into you, they may have helped you pay some of your tuition to make sure that you're not in like deep loans, or they may have just said, hey, you're on your own. You may be an immigrant like myself, and so you have family that's come from another country and has said, hey, like, this is the States, like, you can do whatever you want to do. And now you're pursuing something that, like, and you see all these roadblocks. But the day you get accepted, if you just think about, like I don't think we spend a lot of time thinking about what that day is going to feel like. Notice I didn't say what that day could feel like. I said what that day is going to feel like. Like, it's just a fact. Whether it's in a few months or a few weeks or 1 year, like, it's just a fact. But what's that day going to mean? and what are you willing to do for it? I think a lot of times we end up like asking ourselves, should I give up? Like logically, because we're like, well, logically, it doesn't make sense like for me to take it a fourth time or a fifth time or a sixth time. Logically, it doesn't make sense for me to apply a third time or a fourth time because my classmates got in after their first time or their second time. So but we forget what that like what because that moment, like that feeling is a clear answer as like it shows you clearly what this whole thing has meant for you. The pain, the frustration, the rejection letters, the being waitlisted and then not hearing from the school last cycle or the cycle before that, taking the GRE for the fourth time and still being under that 300, knowing you've worked your butt off, but then ultimately when it all like after everything you still have to do, like that moment when you let it just sink in, it's like I don't even really know how to describe that moment to you. Like when you get your first school that says like, we are proud to tell you that you have been accepted into our Doctor of Physical Therapy program. Mm-hmm. So let me go back to tonight. Should I give up? Should I give up? Aaron, how you doing? Kyle, talk to us. If we're pre-PTs right now and we're stuck, because this is what you do, man. Like you deal with people that are stuck on standardized exams. Like what can you tell the student right now that is on the verge of doing just that?
I can only tell you from experience. All right. Can you hear me all right, Joseph? No,
I can hear you loud and clear, bro.
All right. So here's the thing. Y'all know my story about how I was going through the MCAT and I failed it not once, twice, not 3 times, 4, 5 times I went through that exam, right? And I told y'all how I was laying in the bed in my mom's house, childhood room, looking up at the glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling still. Y'all heard that story. Okay. Well, here's the deal. I actually did, get past the GRE, get accepted to PT school. But what happened, Joseph? What happened after that first year where I finished PT school and then come to find out there was some type of test that I was going to have to take after I was already $150,000 in debt? Then that started to come up. So I was like, what? Yeah. Wait, we got to take another test? And now I'm going to be even more in debt than I was in the beginning? So what can I tell you from my experience? That quitting, you can quit on this process, but don't think that the obstacle is leaving. The obstacle is not going to leave. Obstacle is going to be waiting for you regardless. So it's like it's kind of like, oh man, this route is really tough. I don't want to see it through. Whatever. Let me just get off and go on this route. It's like, well, that route's not going to be smooth sailing either. It's going to lead to an obstacle again. You're going to get stuck there. So then you're living a life of just running from one thing to the next. And you can't ever find happiness and fulfillment if you're just running from things like that. You know what I mean? So that's what I found out the hard way, is that I ran from the MCAT, right? I couldn't get through it. No matter what I was trying, I just couldn't do it. And then it was like I was just met with another match. And it was still a standardized exam. And that's pretty ironic that it's like, yeah, I'm running from this and I think that I'm good. And I'm like, I made it, right? Because PT was my escape route. So I was like, oh, well, couldn't do it there. So let me just, and then next, I get met with that same exact thing,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that that's really important for everybody to hear now, is that even if you quit on this process, don't think that your route is now going to be easier. Maybe in the immediate time it's easier because now you don't have to focus on the GRE, but you're still going to be met with another obstacle that may even be more difficult than the GRE itself. That's what makes it really ironic. You know what I mean?
You got it. Yeah, man. Oh my goodness. Y'all listen. So I think a lot of times what ends up happening is like we feel alone. And that feeling of being alone comes from like who we're seeing like closest to us, right? So it's like, for example, if I'm good friends with Kyle, I'm good friends with Casey. Obviously, let's talk about those two guys right there. Let's say we're in the same class. Kyle and Casey take the GRE once or twice and they crush it, I'm on my 5th time. I'm all of a sudden going to feel like I'm in it by myself. Like they're done. So even though we took the same exam, even though we're all pre-PTs, like I'm going to feel alone. And that feeling of being alone is also like a pretty terrifying one. And that's what kind of lets it, just build up. But you have to ask yourself, like, do I feel alone in this? And let me counter that by saying that there are so many pre-PTs. Like the reason why we're even doing this series that we did last week and this, training tonight, and we'll do more. Like we got more coming. But the reason why we're doing it is because there are so many students who have said to us, "Yo, like this thing is just not going away. Like I'm trying my best. Like I've had at least 3 students in the last week and a half who have contemplated just not applying to PT school altogether, simply because of one exam. I'm talking students that had 3.7 GPAs, 3.8 GPA, and I'm like, wait a whole second. Like, you have such a strong application, and I'm seeing other students with 2.9 GPAs, 2.8 GPAs applying this cycle. Like, what's going? Like, we've let it hold us back. Part of that is feeling alone. So let me just help you out real quick. Like, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. And unfortunately, you haven't been given a system that allows you, like, if standardized exams are not your thing, like they're not my thing naturally. They I'm saying they are now. They were not Kyle's thing naturally as well.
Right.
Like that's why he failed 13 exams, but they weren't his thing as well. But the honest truth is, like, we haven't been given a system, like whether it's by our schools, whether it's by the books that we use, whether you use Magoosh or like, we haven't really been given a book or a system that actually allows us to target our weaknesses and really prepare for the exam in a way that actually allows you to feel like you can actually dominate any standardized exam. Does that make sense? And that's where most people get stuck. That's where most students feel alone. That's where that feeling of when you get accepted into PT school, that's where that starts to fade away, unfortunately. So everything you need, though, is the exact opposite of what you've actually been exposed to. And that's why we're doing this. Right? That's why we're doing this, because we want to make sure that you guarantee your acceptance into PT school. One thing that we believe is that you have control over whether or not you get accepted. I think a lot of times we feel like it's in the control. What's up, Jimmy? What's up, Ralphie? We feel like the control, Kyle, is in the hands of the test makers. We feel like the control is in the hands of the faculty. If they see that my score is a little lower, maybe they'll just kind of say, hey, it ain't gonna happen. Let's get it, Jimmy. We feel like it's in the hands of all these, you have absolute control over whether or not you can get it.
Facts. But you're giving up that control, though, right? You're giving up that control by. Oh, see, that's where. So you're giving up that control by not having a system to dominate that GRE. You're giving up the control to the people who are looking at the applications. You're right; they do have control over it because you just gave it to them. Of course, they do. Doesn't that make sense? I mean, come on. So it's like, I agree with you 100% there, Joseph. And that's exactly the problem I was having. Now that I look back on things, it's like, man, I was too busy always thinking that the admissions advisors and everybody else had all this control. And I was just a pawn, just pick me, pick me, that type of deal. But I was actually giving up the control to everybody.
Exactly.
Becoming the victim is what I was becoming. And wow, that's huge. That's huge.
Have y'all ever been in a class? Let me know if you guys are live or on replay. Say yes or no in the comments if this is you. Have you been in a class where the teacher says, hey, you're all starting with an A? I can't remember the last time that happened, but I know it's happened once. It was probably in high school or grade school or something, right? It's not the norm. But can y'all imagine being in a class where the teacher said, hey, listen, you all have an A. Now you can lose that A, but you're all starting out with 100%. The decisions you make throughout this class might end you with a C, might end you with a B, you might keep your A, but it's the opposite of what we normally get. We usually start with a 0, right?
Start with a zero.
You have to build up to that A. So, but this whole, like, we have it backwards. I think a lot of us as pre-PTs think we're at 0 building up for an A. No. You're at 100%.
Preach.
You're at 100%. Like, it's been given to you and you've been giving it away. And control is one thing that you've constantly been giving away. Control, giving too much power to the test makers, giving too much power to the GRE, what's up, Warren? Giving too much power to the schools you're applying to. Y'all, you have absolute control. Now, a lot of you have not learned how to reclaim your control. A lot of you have not learned how to keep that control. A lot of y'all have not been taught a lot of those things. That's why we're here, right? But you have full access to it. Honestly, it's your right as a pre-PT. That control is your right as a pre-PT. And the problem is your advisor is going to lead you to believe that it's not. The reason why your advisor even tells you, hey, listen, you might want to pick a different career path is because they're playing under the philosophy that you're starting out at 0.
Tell them.
They're playing under the philosophy that, hey, check it out. Some of these other students start at 0, but they're already at 80%. You're still at 50%, so you have no shot in hell at going up against them. We're here to tell you that you've been lied to. You start at 100%. When you start realizing that, you're no longer a victim. You start realizing that a lot of the mistakes, like whether it's past GRE attempts that you've had, let's say you've taken 4 of them, whether it's past GRE attempts that you've had, like, it don't matter. Like, I can't change the past. I can't change the past few takes. I can't change. Some of them might have been anxiety. Some of them might have been actually not knowing the material. Some of them might have been not being able to apply the material. Some of them might have just been how I prepared for it. There's so many, whatever it is for you, at the end of the day, you can't control that. You can't control what's in the past, but you can control what's like moving forward. And moving forward, you have to agree with the fact, you have to accept the fact that you're not a victim of the GRE. You have to accept the fact that you started at 100%, which means you have full control. You just have to learn how to reclaim that control. You have to learn what the proper steps are to just help yourself get right back to where you're supposed to be as a student.
That's right.
Don't let this exam take that feeling, like that feeling we were talking about at the beginning of the training, that feeling of the day you get accepted. Don't let it take that away from you. Don't let it take away the feeling of control, where you feel like everything you do is just, I gotta cross my finger. I gotta apply to 20 schools and just cross my fingers and hope for the best. I just gotta study for 6 more months for the GRE, cross my fingers and hope for the best. I just gotta read through the book 3 more times over the next 3 months, cross my fingers and hope for the best. Y'all, that's a losing philosophy. And honestly, you'll keep deceiving yourself over and over. You'll start thinking, unfortunately, you'll start thinking that you're not qualified to be to dominate the GRE, that you're not qualified to get into a PT program, when that's not the case. So the question is, do you want the control? Because it was yours to begin with. We're just trying to give it back to you. You just have to decide if you want it or not. Do you want to remain a victim? Victims always say, hey man, listen, I wish I could, but cards are not dealt in my favor. Everything becomes an excuse. So Kyle, what were you about to say, boss?
No, it was perfect. It was so perfect what you just said. I'm glad that you just kept talking. I'm glad you did, because I got a message from a student and they were like, yeah, this is all good, but I feel like my control has been lost because I'm just not a good standardized test taker. I've tried it, tried the GRE 3 times already. I'm not getting the score that I want. I've looked on YouTube. I see that there's people who may have done better, after taking it a few times, but I still feel like I don't have the control. right? So the question is, yeah, what now? You know, like, what am I supposed to do? Here's the thing. And it's so funny how stuff comes back around. So there's a student of mine who said a quote to me the other day because they were uplifted, like they were ramped up because they actually did well. They were like, Kyle, there's I read this quote that there are some people were dealt a worse hand than you and won. And that was, and I had to take back for a second. Wait. There was somebody who was dealt a worse hand than you and won.
Oh, I'm going to need.
And I was like, okay, hold on a minute. So to the person asking that question, you know, it's not just a quote. It really is true that there is somebody who's in a worse situation than you are right now that will definitely get over you. They will get into PT school. They're going to make it happen, right? Because they're going to see, like, okay, what can I do with the hand that I have? What is available to me? What resources are available to me? What can I do with this specific situation? And I think that is so key, that you not just, oh, I feel like I'm out of control, there's nothing I could do, just let it be. It's like, what can we do with the hand that we have? And try to milk that thing for as much as you possibly can. And that is how you freaking dominate. So like you were saying, Joseph, I mean, it's all about making sure that you get the right systems, the right level of assistance so that you can boost up, whether it's the application, the GRE score. There are opportunities available to you, but you got to reach out and go after them. You can't sit back and, you know, wait for the pocket aces. You can't wait for that, man. Can't wait for it.
You got it.
So,
dang. Okay, so in short, tonight, we're going to keep, like, y'all, we can keep talking about this all night. What Kyle and I will continue doing is we'll continue serving y'all through different live streams, and we'll tell you more about how we'll do that in the future. But tonight, we want to close the deal with every single one of you. We've created a training to make sure that you are no longer a victim, to make sure that you have the key steps. We're actually calling it the 5 secrets to dominating the GRE without fear of wasting hundreds of dollars taking it over and over. So if you guys want access to it, to be able to register for it and watch it, the training itself is free. If you guys want access to that, just comment below, dominate my GRE. Dominate my GRE. Comment that below, and then I will send you privately a message with a link to it for you to register for it. But we want to make sure y'all are well taken care of. Listen, you have not been taught the right way to crush this thing. And that feeling of like locking in a program, the feeling that you get the day you get accepted, the feeling you get when you finally get your 300 plus on the GRE itself, like that feeling, how much is it worth to you? How much do you want that feeling? How badly do you want that feeling? Do you dream about that feeling? Do you think about that feeling? Can you taste that feeling? Because if you're not, you might be your focus is wrong. Right? You might not be focusing on the right thing. And if all I'm doing is focusing on, oh my goodness, this little thing here, like, listen, it's like me driving. It's like me driving a car, and all I'm doing is like looking at the brakes and the accelerator. Okay, is the brake and the accelerator still there? Okay, like, y'all, I'm driving at 70 miles an hour. If I'm looking down and trying to see where the accelerator, I know where the accelerator is. If I'm looking down to try to figure out what gear I'm trying, like, if I'm looking down consistently, I'm going to crash. Right. There's a reason why every time we retake the exam, like, there's a reason why we keep crashing, and we're trying to help y'all stop that. We're trying to help you stop crashing your vehicle, your GRE vehicle, your PT school acceptance vehicle. But the only way you avoid crashing, especially in Florida, y'all, because Floridians cannot drive to save their lives, y'all. Like, Floridians cannot drive. They cannot drive. But the only way to avoid that is to look forward and have clarity as to where you're going. And that's what we're trying to provide for you. You can't look here. I think it's my, like, this is, I think I just have to study harder. Or no, y'all are looking at the brake and the Excel. Y'all, listen, you can't do that anymore. It's not a good plan. And if you're doing that and getting accepted into PT school, or if you're doing that and you're crushing the GRE well, it's kind of like driving and there's no other cars on the road. Somehow you still got there.
That's right. That's right.
But it's not a predictable plan. It's not a foolproof plan. It's not a smart plan. Does that make sense? So if y'all want to lock in, comment, dominate my GRE. We will give you access to our full-on training. The thing is at least an hour and a half long. Like a full-on training, step-by-step. The 5 secrets to dominating the GRE without fear of wasting hundreds of dollars, because you waste a lot of money, wasting lots of money because you're taking it over and over and over and over again. So comment, dominate my GRE. I will send you a message privately with the link to make sure you're well taken care of. But that's it, Kyle. Y'all, listen, we got some good stuff coming for you.
Man.
But our goal is to make sure that y'all don't have an excuse anymore. But honestly, we want y'all to feel like, can y'all just imagine, like you're literally in the exam room, right? You know how they show you the score at the end of the test, Kyle, before you leave? Like,
that's right.
You came in that morning nervous. You came in nervous. You're like swiping through. You know you're answering your last question. Like, yo, I remember this feeling. You know you're answering your last question, and you have like 3 minutes left. So you're like, oh, God. Like, you know, you're like, whoo. Man, I've been here for like 5 hours, and I'm about to find out what my score is. Like, you literally sit there, you take a deep breath, you answer the last question, you go through the process, and you see your score. It's above, like, honestly, much higher than you expected it to be. And it's the exact score, like, it's beyond the exact score you needed to apply into the programs that you've been dreaming about, Allison. Like, what's that mean to you? Do you want it? Or do you want to keep looking at the accelerator and the brake, and if you drive stick shift the clutch? Like, do you want to keep doing that? If you don't, then let's give you some clarity. Let's give you some clarity. Comment, dominate my GRE, and I will privately send you the link to the registration page for this free training where we walk you through the 5 secrets to dominating the GRE. Y'all, we don't want you to have to take it over and over, wasting lots of money. Every time you do it, it's money. Every time you do it, it's money. Every time, and then if you like somehow decide to apply next cycle, think about what that really means. Like, I missed 1 year, Kyle. I missed 1 year. That's 1 year I could have been a PT. Like, if I take the salary I could have earned that year, look at how much I'm really losing, y'all. Like, how much is it worth? Wow. How much is it worth? So you have to decide that for yourself. And if you're like, if you want to take yourself seriously, then comment and dominate my GRE, and we got you. We hope y'all have a phenomenal rest of your evening. Kyle, is there any last words you want to say before we call it a good for the night?
Man, it's just put it down right now. If you want to take yourself to the next freaking level, you know, the message that I just got to tell you all is this. It's like, yeah, you know, getting that score and seeing it at the end of the exam is awesome. But let me tell you, the feeling that you have when you're walking out of the Prometric Center and you open up the door and it's just sunlight beaming in and you just know that you just crushed it. And now that is a weight that's lifted off your shoulders. Man, the feeling, there's nothing like that feeling. Knowing that you have exactly what you need to take yourself to that next level and get in that dream PT school that you've been after. So let's freaking get it. Put it down below. Hit them with it again, Joseph. What's the link?
Just comment, dominate my GRE. That's it. Just comment, dominate my GRE, and I'll send you the link tonight. That's it. Dominate my GRE.
Ooh, love it.
That's it. Dominate my GRE. Y'all have an amazing rest of your evening. Kyle, appreciate you, brother.
Deuces, brother. Appreciate it.
Y'all have a great rest of your evening. Much love. Bye.